Hey there, it's Mark with Mark's Astro Journey. In this brief video, I'm going to share with you my installation of the Skyshed Pier in my second floor observatory. So let's jump right in and see how it unfolds. So here's a quick look at my concrete pier coming up to the second floor observatory, and here's the top of it with the J bolts in it. Here's the template I'd used to set those, and I decided to paint that with some exterior paint to finish off the top and not have those edges of those open blocks exposed. I was sure I would drop something down in the holes of those blocks if I didn't cover that. First step is to get all four of these nuts fairly close to level before you set the pier on top. We also want a lock washer on each of these. Since we're going to fill this pier with sand, we need to close up this hole in the bottom. And in the instructions from Skyshed Pier, they say just use some duct tape to cover that up. I also noticed underneath this a few nicks. I'm just going to touch those up before I set it up on there, since I won't be able to get to those afterwards. To protect our bolts while we're sliding the pier over them, we're just going to put a little piece of tape around them, each one. I happened to choose one of the most humid days here in the end of July in the Ohio Valley. We had storms today, but the humidity's still through the roof. Okay, so time to slide the pier down over the bolts. Halfway wonder if I should cut the top off that tape. I have a feeling it's going to get bent, twisted, and not going to want to go down over it. Every one of them's kind of bent over to the side. Probably would be better to have two people. Now the question is, will I be able to get this tape off? You got to hold your mouth right to get this off. I think those J bolts should have been longer, but I got like the longest ones that they had at Lowe's. It probably could have been another inch or two longer. So we need to put sand in here, and we have to remove this cap anyways. And I want to check the level. I don't really know that the top one is level because these bolts are adjusted out. They don't really look that even all the way around. So I'm going to remove this top cap so that I can actually check the level. And then I'll add the sand. Okay, it still shows level all the way around, so I'm going to tighten down the bolts on the bottom. I think what I'm going to do is work my way around here on each one a little bit at a time, because kind of like when you tighten up bolts on the tire after you cleaned it. If you don't work your way around evenly, you can get some uneven tightness. Just double check and make sure I'm not throwing it off a crazy amount or something. Okay, all of the bolts are tight, and on the underneath side, the lock washer is also tight. It's flattened out. Okay. Still looks level all the way around and horizontally as well. So now we have to put our sand inside, and unfortunately I've not carried it up here yet. So now I'm going to carry 4 bags of sand up here and pour them in there. I just bought this paver sand from Lowe's. Try not to make a mess. We'll see if I accomplish it or not. There went a little bit. Made the hole too big. Just 2 bags almost filled it up. Just gonna see if there's any big holes in it. Doesn't seem like it. And it said in the instructions you don't need to fill it entirely to the top. Just most of the way full. So another reason I see to leave a space at the top, I plan to use this. This is off the tripod that comes with my telescope mount. And there's a hole in the center of the top cap. So this will go down in there and I can secure my mount from underneath with the very fastener that came with the mount and its tripod. So, in my opinion, leaving some space at the top is probably a good idea. So if you want to use this bolt, you'd still have some room for it to go down. Of course, the sand would move. You'd probably shove it down in the sand, but either way. And when I put this back on, I'm kind of lining it. I don't really know it's super important, but I'm lining it back up with where they had those bolt impressions already. They say on this top cap not to over tighten it. It's just going to ride up if you over tighten it. Just needs to be tight enough though that our telescope mount and everything doesn't fall off, right? That would not be good. Probably shouldn't tighten this too much for now, because once I get the adapter plate on and the mount, I have to turn it so that the pin where the azimuth adjustment is aligns towards the north. You see how this plate has an indentation that's fairly shallow on this side, an indentation that's deep on this side. So I took this over just to make sure. I mean, this one looks like the top of my telescope tripod, but I took it over to the mount and just fitted it to the bottom of it to make sure that it seems to fit properly. It seems like a good idea. If I turn it over to the one that's deep, it doesn't fit. But the shallow one fits, which tells me the shallow one needs to go up. Then the other thing is, this post was on my tripod that came with my telescope. They talk about in the Skyshed instructions, buying a bolt if you don't have one of these posts. I just decided to take it out of the tripod and use it because I don't plan on carrying this mount around to remote locations and setting it up on the tripod. I'm just going to use my pier. So the other thing I want to check is, if I put this post in these holes, does it line up with that hole out there? You can see that hole on the mount underneath. That has to line up, right? So I have to see if that works or not. What I found is, if you notice, this is with that adjustment nut backed all the way out. It seems like it's a little shallow there, but when I first put it in, the way it was adjusted on the telescope mount or the tripod, it was too long. So I need to make it just a little, stand up just a little bit more. I can tighten this up once I make sure the depth is right. Yep, that looks good. To attach the adapter plate to the pier, they provide these both, but I need to raise the plate up first before I attach the adapter plate. Since I want to use this to attach my telescope mount to the pier, I'm actually just going to loosen these bolts all the way and lift this off so I can put this underneath it.
Something I found interesting here is we don't have lockboard. Just want to get an idea on the locking nut. Whether or not it'd have enough threads to go into the mount. Instructions say about 3 inches. Just trying to get it fairly close before I start putting the nuts on there and it becomes fairly tight. For some reason, I was thinking these screws they gave for the plate were going to screw into a threaded hole in this, but they have a nut on them, and they go right through the hole in these 4 spots. So it seems like that's the way it's supposed to be attached. And I didn't bring Allen wrenches. Seems to be a 14 metric. I put my compass on this adapter plate, seeing where the post is, kind of lined it up with 2 screws on one side. And it's close to due north. It's like 355. I find at my location that if I put to 0 north, usually causes me to have to move it anyway, so I start around 355. Just as a rough starting point, I can adjust this top plate or top collar. Once the mount's on there, I can loosen the side bolts and turn it, but just wanted to get it started. And you can see about the height, I have this bolt that fastens the mount down. You can see that it's down in here a little ways, and it will come up as needed to tighten down. You can see here on the bottom of the mount that this sticks out a little bit. That's probably about a 1/2 inch. So I think I have it roughly close enough. And it looks like this has deep enough threads that the bolt can go up in there if needed.
Of course, I didn't want to leave that mounting fastener with all those washers. I jumped on Amazon and found a 12mm fastener bolt, and I actually checked with Skywatcher support, and they said get one at your local store online. They don't provide any shorter ones. I actually ended up ordering both a 30mm long and 35mm long because I tried measuring to get exactly what it needed to be, but I could see it was in that range, and so it ended up being the 35mm one that worked the best. I took a few pictures from various angles, and I'll show those briefly here, as well as I will show with the telescope attached to the mount, slewing so we can see it working. Well, I hope you enjoyed coming along for my installation of the Skyshed Pier in my second floor observatory, and I'm certainly looking forward to giving it a try. Here in Indiana, we have been stuck in a weather pattern of rain and cloudiness and super high humidity. So it looks like this coming weekend, possibly, there might be a little clearing, so I might get a chance to give it a try. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do enjoy videos regarding amateur astronomy, amateur astrophotography, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel. Please leave any comments and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Wishing you clear skies.